Number 10. SS Watertown. In December 1924, James Courtney and Michael Meehan were crew members on the SS Watertown. They were cleaning a cargo tank of the oil tanker, and they were overcome by gas fumes, which resulted in both of their deaths. Due to this, the crew buried them at sea, but to their astonishment, the ghostly faces of the soldiers appeared in the water the next day. Yeah, like in the waves. Later on, many other crew members reported seeing the faces as well. The faces were so visible that the captain of the ship ordered them to take a picture of them to have for proof, so people didn't think that they were crazy. And this was smart, because if someone told me they saw faces of two dead men in the water, I would probably never talk to them again and think that they were cuckoo. Although, in the picture, you can clearly see two faces, which is just plain creepy. When the SS Watertown returned to land, the negative was even checked for fakery and proclaimed genuine. So yeah, just two faces chilling in the waves. No big deal.
Number 9. Photobomb. We have to include the work of William Hope in a list of spirit photography. I mean, he was the paranormal pioneer. In 1920, he took a photo of a couple, and in the background, this one's also a little tricky to see, but if you zoom in, you can see a really tall woman floating in between the two. Yeah, this one's really out there, so I'm not really sure I'm buying it, but also there's something to it that gives me the creeps still. It's like she's missing her head almost, like the silhouette doesn't have a head, but you can clearly see her face in the middle of the body, like near the chest. It's intriguing either way, but one way or another, it's not easy to tamper with photos. Today, you can easily fake this photo of a demon or a monster or whatever, but back in the 1920s, I don't know, could you do this? Get out of town. Cameras back then were like fire hazards. I'm not buying it. That's for sure a demon.
Number 8. Tulip Staircase. Reverend Ralph Hardy, a retired clergyman from White Rock, British Columbia, took this famous photograph in 1966. Originally, he only wanted to take a picture of the elegant tulip staircase in the Queen's House section of the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, England. And I mean, I don't blame him. They're pretty. But upon development, the photo revealed a shrouded figure climbing the stairs. It's strange and unsettling, and Ralph said there was no one else in the frame when he took it. Experts who examined the original negative concluded that it had not been tampered with. The vicinity of the staircase is rumored to be haunted, and unexplained footsteps have often been heard there, so it's most likely something supernatural who just wanted their photo taken. Number 7. The Brown Lady. The Brown Lady of Rainham Hall is a ghost that reportedly haunts Rainham Hall in Norfolk, England. It became one of the most famous hauntings in the United Kingdom when photographers from Country Life magazine claimed to have captured its image. According to the legend, the Brown Lady is the ghost of Dorothy Walpole, the sister of Robert Walpole, generally regarded as the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. She was the second wife of Charles Townshend, 2nd Viscount Townshend, who was notorious for his violent temper. The story goes that when Charles discovered that his wife had committed adultery with Lord Wharton, he punished her by locking her in her rooms in the family home, Rainham Hall. According to Mary Wortley Montagu, Dorothy was in fact entrapped by the Countess of Wharton. She invited Dorothy over to stay for a few days, knowing that her husband would never allow her to leave, not even to see her children. She remained at the Rainham Hall until her death in 1726 from smallpox. This is just an extremely sad story, and I can't imagine her pain. The first sighting of the Brown Lady was in 1835, and the photograph was taken in 1936. Number 6. Falling through the ceiling. Back in the 1950s, the Cooper family from Texas moved into their new house. Once there, they took a family photo, which seems normal, right? Well, not for them. When the picture was developed, the image of a body falling from the ceiling was clearly visible. To be clear, no one fell from the ceiling when they took the photo, so what happened? As further investigation on the story has brought no plausible explanation, there exist many speculations, including one that argues that the shadow is the ghost of the previous owner of the house. But my question is, why is he falling from the ceiling, and why did he have to ruin that beautiful family photo? I remember seeing this photo on the internet when I was probably too young to see it, and after all these years, this image still gives me chills. Ugh.
Number 5. The Ghost Pilot. Oh, this one gives me the creeps. I'm hoping it's just a friendly ghost. I included it because it's kind of nice, but you never really know, honestly. This one, I did some research, it's creepy. Any sort of spirit I don't welcome. Yeah, I don't gamble on the afterlife. I'm actually all set. The Ghost Pilot is a photograph that shows a spirit from 1987. A woman named Mrs. Sayer was visiting an airfield in England, so of course, she did the classic tourist thing and got a photo in the cockpit. We all do it at some point, but do you ever think of who may have died in that exact spot before? After the age of 10 years years old, I was like, you know what, I understand ghosts, I'm not gonna sit in that tank. I'm good, thanks. People swear the Titanic was a cursed ship and that spirits were responsible for the ship's bad luck. Now, next time you want to sit in the pilot's seat, look around for spirits, because this image was developed and it appears that somebody or something was in the helicopter with Miss Sayer the whole time.
Number 4. Wem Ghost. On November 19, 1995, Wem Town Hall burned to the ground in Wem, Shropshire, located in England. During the fire, Tony O'Rahilly, a sewage farm worker who was also an amateur photographer, was originally stopped by police from approaching the burning building. He took a picture of the blaze from across the street with a 200mm lens. It appeared to depict the image of a young girl in the doorway of the burning building. Now, to be clear, there were no injuries or fatalities from the fire. This was not a human. Locals who saw the photo believed it was the ghost of Jane Churm, a young girl who was accused in 1677 of starting a fire in the same town. The image of the girl in the doorway of the burning building was not noticed by Tony, the photographer, or the onlookers. It only appeared after the photo had been developed. I mean, if she was accused of starting a fire and then she popped back up in an area where another fire started, it seems like it really could be Jane. Number 3. The Spectre of Newby Church. The Spectre of Newby Church is the name given to a figure in the photograph taken in the Church of Christ the Consoler on the grounds of Newby Hall in North Yorkshire, United Kingdom. The image was taken in 1963 by the Reverend Kenneth F. Lord. As the figure appears to resemble a human, much speculation has been had regarding what type of person might be in the image. Most speculation by believers has concluded that it resembles a 16th century monk with a white shroud over his face, possibly to mask leprosy or another disfigurement. Others believe it looks like a plague doctor from the 16th and 17th centuries. Initial claims suggest that the figure would measure at 9 feet tall, but its feet are not visible, so it could easily be standing on a box, giving the impression of height. Some people thought the photo was due to double exposure, but photographic experts have concluded that the image is not the result of double exposure. So what was it, and why was it in a church? No one truly knows, but it's extremely frightening. What does it look like to you? Let me know in the comments. Number 2. Mystery Guest. On January 22nd, 1985, the Coventry Freeman organization and their guests stood in prayer during a dinner event. All the guests are still, and as it was a dark room, the photographer probably thought it would be the perfect time to allow for a longer than usual exposure to get enough light into the picture. Makes sense. Now, nothing was out of the ordinary at the time, but as people started to see the print of the picture, a mystery surfaced. Who was the robed figure standing near the end of one of the tables? No one had dressed up for the event, and no one remembers anyone standing there as they stood for prayer. The figure also seems to be taking part in the prayer, head slightly bowed, hands clasped in front. St. Mary's, Coventry, Warwickshire is where the event was hosted. It has many legends of ghosts and paranormal activity, but I wonder why this being decided to join in prayer. It just gives me bad vibes, like evil lurks within it. And coming in at number 1 is The Young Boy. One of the most famous haunted houses in the United States is the Dutch Colonial House at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. The haunting stems from the night of November 13th, 1974, when 23-year-old Ronald Defoe ended the lives of all 6 members of his family. He was then arrested, convicted, and given 6 concurrent life sentences. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, moved into the house and claimed that spooky things were happening. For example, George would wake up at 3:15 every morning, which was the approximate time that Ronald committed his crimes. Kathy said she would feel a ghostly presence and be embraced by it. All of this and more caused the family to flee in fear after only staying in the house for 28 days, and honestly, I don't blame them. Due to this, demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the house and set up time-lapse infrared cameras and caught this photo. The picture wasn't made public until 3 years later when George Lutz appeared on the Merv Griffith Show in 1979. Believers of the haunting think that the picture is the ghost of the youngest Defoe son, John Matthew, who was 9 at the time. Others believed it's a staged photo, but despite its controversy, this picture is one of the most frightening images from the Amityville horror.
Kicking off the list at number 10. Midnight Snack. This one was pretty recent. It was from December 2020. It was uploaded to the wonderful world of Reddit by a user named Oopsie Poopy Man, which is a great name. I would have taken that as well. The photo, at first, I didn't see anything. I had to turn my brightness up, so I suggest that you do the same. But in the meantime, I'll read to you the caption for this photo. They say, after hearing taps and noises from my kitchen, I take a photo and I see this. That's pretty scary. Maybe it's the Jabberwockies and they're gonna do a flash mob in your kitchen. That's what it appears to be. Or maybe, as the several other thousand people have commented, you should leave the house right away. That's terrifying. Also, the taps and stuff, being in Canada, I would assume that's raccoons, but that's much more scary than raccoons. Actually, it's pretty close. 5 raccoons versus 1 demon. I'm like, it's a lot of hands, a lot of grabbing. Is this a real ghost photo or is this a hoax? I zoomed in on the photo once and honestly, that was enough for me. You can go check it out yourself if you want. I'm done with this one.
Number 9. The Nurse. This photo was taken in an abandoned tuberculosis hospital in Louisville, Kentucky called Waverly Hills Sanatorium in 2006. As you can imagine, many people passed away here and it's rumored to be filled with paranormal activity. In recent years, it has become one of America's most popular destinations for ghost hunters. This image depicts a woman just standing to the right side, but when the photo was taken, no one was there. It was a ghost. It has been agreed among the paranormal community that the photo depicts Mary Lee, a nurse who took her own life in the hospital. The story goes, this poor woman was impregnated by a doctor who worked in the hospital, but later wanted nothing to do with her. Nowadays, she wanders the halls of the hospital and interacts with ghost hunters.
Number 8. The Brown Lady of Rainham Hall. This one is a classic. If you haven't seen this photo, it's gonna live rent-free in your head, that's for sure, from here on out. This tale kicked off back in 1936 after a photo went around Country Life magazine. The photo shows the spirit wearing a brown gown, hence where her name comes from. Not the most creative of nicknames. They're just like, that's what it looks like. That's what we'll call it. Okay, demonology. Just the thing you want to see when you come home. Just a ghost floating on your staircase after a long night. We love it. Legend has it the ghost is that of Dorothy Townshend. She was the sister of Robert Walpole, who was the first Prime Minister of Britain back in 1676. A little bit of history there. Some reports say that the image is a result of long exposure gone wrong, but either way, I don't like looking at this photo. Let's move on again. Number 7. The Shining Hotel Spirit. It appears to be a spirit or a demon, ghost, apparition, something black-haired and scary looking, I don't know, just floating through the hallways. Why do I get the scary videos, man? I can't go through this and zoom in. Like my heart, I can't take these. I can't, why are we doing this? If there's a part 3, I'm quitting. The room was of course empty at the time the photo was taken, and I believe that, because there's no way you can just snap a random photo of just a random child. I don't know, you're gonna probably go to jail if you try that. Don't do that. And then if you try and say, oh, I was looking for ghosts, that's not a good excuse. You're gonna get kicked out for sure. You gotta go where no one else is. That's the whole point of getting a ghost photo. When confronted about the photo, Nosling ensured that he doesn't even know how to use his cell phone, let alone Photoshop. That I kind of believe. What do you guys think? This one's a little convincing, dare I say. Number 6. Floating hand. This one is so scary. Okay, another photo from over 100 years ago. This time, the photographer may or may not have caught a floating demon hand. Yeah, that's where we're at now. Part 2, we love it. I'll show you the photo. You let me know if you see anything at first. Here we go. Okay, take a good look. Anything just sticking out, poking out, anything weird? This photo is a group of women who worked in a linen factory, and the lady on the far right has an extra hand. This one's resting on her shoulder. This may be a hidden person. I mean, maybe somebody with long arms was out of frame. I'm a lanky dude, I get it. I can put my arms around like 9 of my closest friends. Look at this, I'm out of frame for both these hands, that's nuts. But it's the positioning of the hand that gives me the chills. It looks curled almost, which gives me like a demonic, insidious, The Last Key vibes. I don't like it. Let's move on. Number 5, the Spectre of Newby Church. This one comes from 1963, so it's a little more recent, but even so, this is one of the most convincing ones on this list. In my humble opinion, I haven't seen any ghosts or anything. Reverend K.F. Lord took this photo in Newby Church in England, and Lord ensures us that this photo is 100% real. He didn't tamper it. Anyone named Lord doesn't lie about things. That's just facts. I mean, to be fair, it looks like the spirit is facing the camera, like it's a pretty good frame. It looks definitely fake. The whole Plague Doctor vibe vibe is going on though, that's what makes me feel sick in this whole situation. Anything with plague doctors has always given me the creeps. I don't like it. I worked at an amusement park and their Halloween haunt month thing, and I was assigned as a plague doctor, and I couldn't even look in the mirror. Also, for sure, I wouldn't have just faced a photo of someone's taken. I would have done like a creepy move. This is too normal, I don't know. But the fact that it's normal makes it kind of believable. The figure seems to be standing on the first step to the altar, yet somehow is still taller than the altar itself. We think by this photo it's about 9 feet tall. Whoever faked this, if that is the case, must have been on stilts. Also, stilts and a sheet over your face on a staircase, that's just impressive either way, honestly. Number 4, the background demon. Another piece of work from William Hope, this one even creepier than the last. The face of this demonic woman appears to be floating above the lady on the right of this photo. Again, these are from the 1920s, and the only hint as to who or what was in these photographs was written on the back. Yeah, something's written on the back of this photo, that's how you know it's real. The message reads, "Why is the child always pushing to the front?" which is a very creepy question. And the message below it also reads, "Do we get messages from the higher spirits?" Okay, 2 creepy questions written on the back of a creepy 1920s photo. Is this what you wanted? Because I didn't want to see this, but now I had to, and it's gonna be here, and now you'll be fine. You're gonna keep scrolling through YouTube. I'm gonna go to bed over there and be afraid. Hit that thumbs up. I don't know, maybe I'll be able to sleep. It'll definitely help. Number 3, nursing home spirit. Okay, we're in the final 3, so it's time to get real. This photo was taken from a nursing home resident the same night another resident had passed away. This was back in 2015, and that night they heard a door open and close, but at this hour there were no visitors there at the time. For sure, no one was there. There were logins, all that jazz. No one could just waltz in, or walk in for that matter. So there's also a great amount of people who think that this image here is one of 2 things. The spirit of the resident that passed away, or the Grim Reaper. Yeah, the door opening and closing, people think that was the Grim Reaper coming in. How scary is that? A few comments were saying how it's comforting to know that in the end you aren't alone. Yeah, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather die alone than have this dude break into my home at 4 a.m. and then just walk me to the living room where I'm gonna die. I don't know. I'm all set. And finally, coming in at number 1, cave drawings. I know these aren't photos, but come on, there's nothing more eerie than humanity's origin, right? Let's do it. Let's go back. Let's turn the clocks back. And for archaeologists from around the world, this cave system in France doubles as the world's oldest art gallery. These Paleolithic paintings are haunting to look at. They were created from humans about 20,000 years ago, and it's now considered a heritage site. There's many of these caves around the world. So if you're thinking about sneaking down there in the Lascaux caves and taking a look yourself, well, you better think again. The cave was opened originally in 1948, but due to carbon dioxide levels from visitors, it was closed in 1963. Learning about our history is challenging, and when it's slowly fading away, that surely doesn't help. Just gotta hold your breath while you read. This is crazy. I'm currently reading a book called Supernatural by Graham Hancock, and in it he tries to dig through history to find the origins of spirituality, and markings in caves like these ones from ages ago definitely help. They resemble these demon-looking creatures almost, and this is long before religion. These drawings were supposedly from hallucinations, but many believe it's one of the first accounts of a demon interacting with a human. It's just drawn on a cave wall. Pec Merle is a cave in France that also has these strange drawings, and some say they resemble aliens, others of course voting demons. What do you guys think? This is from 25,000 years ago. Write all your thoughts and concerns down in the comments below. And last but not least, number 1, the house guest. Okay, I saved the best for last, and by that I mean this is the scariest video I've ever seen. Let's do it. This comes from a middle-aged man in Oxford, North Carolina. It was his only day off work. He was looking forward to just kicking back and relaxing, but instead, the lights started to flicker in his house, and immediately after, the smoke detector started going off. The fridge, the bathroom, all these lights were going off, you name it. The water even started to run by itself. He filmed the footage, while he was fleeing his home on his only day off, and while he was looking back on the footage later on, he saw this. Pretty terrifying, right? I know, I had to look at it, and now it's gonna be stuck. Kicking off the list at number 10, William Thomas Stead. Born in 1849, William Thomas Stead was the son of Congregationalist minister, and at the age of 22, he was appointed as editor of the Northern Echo, a regional newspaper in Darlington. This British medium, Richard Borsonov, featured a photo of W.T. Stead and a spirit. Or a demon. One of the two, both pretty terrifying. While William was investigating a spiritual case, he took this photo with what's supposed to be the spirit of Pete Botha. Now, the reason many believe that maybe the spirit is evil is that Stead later on died in the Titanic. He boarded the ship to take part in a peace congress at Carnegie Hall, and survivors mentioned William Thomas Stead a few times. Apparently at dinner, he was chatting his way throughout the entire 11-course meal, recounting exciting, spooky times in his life, even mentioning a cursed mummy that he encountered at the British Museum once. That's a little odd for table talk. He even gave his life jacket to another passenger that night too. Stead would often claim that he would one day pass due to hanging or to drowning. And right before he was to be awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize, he passed away due to the latter. Was he cursed? I believe so, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? Number 9, the demonic boy photograph. It doesn't matter where or when, but odds are you've probably seen this photo at some point. All those late nights when you're scrolling through Reddit, you've probably seen this at some point. I know I have, and every time I see it, I'm kind of like, it looks pretty real. It's pretty haunting. You know when you see a photo, sometimes you get bad vibes, like it registers in your brain as something scary and real. Like you want to find something that looks fake about the photo, but it's tough. This photo was taken inside the Amityville house in 1976. It appears to be a young boy or ghost, spirit, demon, whatever, with glowing white eyes. It was taken with automatic cameras equipped with infrared. And it makes it even creepier that the boy looks like he's peeking around the corner. Like he knew something was coming almost, he didn't want to get caught. That's the creepiest part here. A photographer named Gene Campbell took it, and Gene was working with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren at the time. Yeah, the famous duo now rocking the big screen Conjuring universe. This was a real thing. They were on this case in real life. This photo was revealed 3 years after it was taken, and it was revealed on the Merv Griffin show. Imagine seeing this on a show, like Jimmy Kimmel whips this out. It's like, hey, we're gonna play Plinko. Check out this demon. Many believe this is the ghost of John DeFeo, one of the boys who lived there prior during the 1974 event. Now we're still trying to cover this one, but what do you guys think? Is this an elaborate hoax? Is this a young boy? Or is this one of the many demons that was said to haunt the house? Sound off down below. Number 8, the SS Watertown. This picture here perhaps is one of the creepiest on this list. I'm not sure what to think of this one. It comes from 1924 and it shows what appears to be 2 older men, or 2 older figures almost. I don't know, it's water, it's hard to tell. Some believe it's James Courtney and Michael Meehan in the water. Now the 2 had previously died and were buried at sea, hence that's why their first thought was them as to who it was. Other crew members saw these strange faces in the water as well, so when they turned back to get another look, 5 out of the 6 photos showed nothing. This was the only photo that showed what they saw. Are these the 2 lost crewmen, or is the vessel haunted by sinister forces? Number 7, backseat driver. This photo is from 1959. Okay, it was taken by a lady named Mabel Chinnery. And the photo at first glance is just a classic 60s shot of a man in a car. That man was Mabel's husband. Now the man in the back seat, however, that back left seat, we have no idea who that was. Her husband apparently was the only guy in the car at the time. And also, that's a pretty tough angle. If you wanted to recreate this photo with your friends after work, like try this. This is a really hard shot, even with phones now. It would be hard back in the day. It's like he's appearing to us through the seat almost with that angle. So either this is a lie, which happens often, people can lie, and a man was sitting in the back left seat, or like Mabel thinks, maybe this is her dead mother-in-law. Now, if she had said father-in-law, I think maybe it was his spirit, but this for sure looks like an older gentleman with a collar or something. Kind of looks like, dare I say it, the devil. I don't know, I read a lot of comic books. Number 6, Coventry Society Demon. You may be thinking, some of these may not be demons, Taylor, maybe they're just nice spirits who stuck around after they passed. Yeah, while it's nice to believe that, photos like this convince me otherwise. This is from the Coventry Freeman Society and it shows everybody at this event dressed to the nines. But when you look at the top left corner over here, you see a hooded figure. Somebody that clearly doesn't belong with the vibe in this room at this event. Nobody else was seen also at any point at that night wearing a hood like this, so of course many believe it was a dark part of the afterlife photobombing this event. Honestly, I totally believe that. This is a weird one. The hood, maybe I've been watching Harry Potter lately, I don't know. Maybe it's a Dementor, we actually don't know.
Number 5. Backseat Ghost. On March 22nd, 1959, Mabel Chinnery and her husband drove to the graveyard in which her mother had been buried. Her mother had died a week previously and they were going to take photos of her grave, and they did. As Mabel returned to the car, she decided to use her last remaining shot to take a candid picture of her husband waiting in the vehicle on the passenger side. Nothing was out of the ordinary, it was just a random photo, but when the pictures were developed, one of Mabel's friends pointed out that someone, believed to be her mother, appeared to be behind her husband in the back seat of the car. Now, was the figure her mother or some other spirit? Who knows? I mean, they were in a graveyard, it could have been anyone or anything. The photograph itself wasn't seen in the United States until the story got a whole page in the Sunday newspaper. Mabel stated that the spot where the unexpected figure appeared in the back of the car is where her mother always sat when they went for drives, so it makes sense that it could be her. An unnamed photo expert is quoted as saying, "The lady in the back can't be the result of a double exposure. If it were, the door's upright wouldn't block off part of her face, and she can't be a reflection in the window either." So maybe it really is Mabel's mother.
Number 4, the Paris Demon. Originally, the tunnels under Paris were built for stone mines, but near the end of the 18th century, it turned into something haunting. Cemeteries were starting to fill up, and I mean that in a literal sense, and humans didn't figure out how to be clean, so bodies would just be laying on the sides of the roads. They started to pile up over time, so the solution was to use these catacombs. They were no longer needed for those mines anymore, so might as well use them as a mass graveyard. And now we have the scariest basement in the world. We have walls of skulls that on one hand, it's cool as hell, it's natural history, it's gothic yet beautiful, but when Google Maps tried to give a user an up-close look, it seemed to have caught a shadowy demon figure. With more than 6 million souls laying down there, it doesn't shock me to hear about something like this at all. There's a video of the street view, and in it you can see this figure. Check it out yourself. Number 3, demons are us. For this next one, we'll be going down the Lego aisle. Yeah, how fun. Haunted Toys R Us. Can you imagine all those toys starting up at night by themselves? Bay Area's Haunted Toys R Us is no longer a thing. Thankfully, as of 2018, that location closed down, but its tales, they live on forever. The Sunnyvale Toys R Us demonic presence appeared in the background of this photo. But of course, like others on this list, the people present at the time of the photo swear that nobody else was there. It's like everyone has bad memory, everyone has good memory, I can't really tell right now. It's like, could this be a spirit or a demon caught on tape that just happens to be at a Toys R Us? I vote yes. Employees talked about creepy things happening there at night all the time, and the Sunnyvale store is indeed haunted by more than one ghost. That's what people say. The store stood where the Murphy farm once stood, so many think the spirit is the ghost of Johnny Johnson. I don't know, the fact that Ouija boards are a toy that is commonly used to, I don't know, communicate with spirits, maybe closing these doors was the best call. I don't think we welcomed in any good spirits. I don't think any spirits are clocking in for work, you know what I mean? Now it's closed, so I'm like, it didn't work. Whatever we tried didn't work. Number 2, ghost boots. These boots are made for haunting, and that's just what they'll do. Yeah, I put a pair of boots on this list. That's where we're at now. This photo of a young girl may look like a classic family trip, but upon closer inspection, it seems like somebody or something is standing behind her. Now, of course, her father said that nobody was behind her at the time that it was taken, and I agree that, and like honestly, and I believe him. Honestly, that would be pretty weird if he was like, hey, can you stand right here? Yeah, you behind my daughter, don't move, but you stand right here in this open field, thanks. Ka-ching. I don't believe it, I don't buy it, it's weird. This shot was taken at Zushi Zenagawa, Japan, and you can see boots and what looks like clothing sticking out from behind the child's elbow. The kid's father said, I took a few photos, and when I was looking through them at night, I noticed the boots behind her. I took several photos in the same spot, but only one of them had boots. You always see that in movies, right? At night they're going through and they see like it's 2 a.m. It's never at a Walmart while it's being developed. They don't find these photos in a bright, busy area. It's always in like a dark kitchen. Ugh, it's creepy. So he freaked out and then put it on Reddit, and then now we're here. Full circle. Number 2, window spirit. Personal trainer Tony Ferguson was filming a castle in England, as most personal trainers do, but when the 33-year-old looked back on that footage, he thought that he'd missed out on a prank. He couldn't believe what he was looking at. Check it out. This was at Hurst Castle in Hampshire. He also recalls that nobody could have been moving around in that space. It was very petite. This wasn't the first time the spirit also had made its presence known though. The time before, Tony Ferguson said that it was this white mist, but this time it actually had energy to form. Yeah, whenever something has energy to form, that's how you know you're messing with some real I was asking it to show itself, and this white mist flew straight at my camera. I mean, this time around, he got footage of the actual thing moving around, so whatever it's happening, it's getting more friendly or it's getting more comfortable. Either way, I'm never going to this castle, and neither should you. What are your thoughts? Is this convincing or is this fake?